And we're live. We want to greet everybody. Good evening to you. I am live with Barrister Pelumi Olajengbesi. This is Nigeria, and then we are discussing important topics: the law, human rights, law enforcement agencies, um, citizenship and rights, and enforcement as may be concerned. So Barrister Pelumi Olajengbesi is the counsel representing uh, persons, if you remember, who were taken from Oloye Sunday Igboho's residence in Ibadan recently. And then some of them have been released, in fact, most of them. But we still have like two persons, if I'm correct, who are still being held against court order. You know, gimmicks like SSS bringing different reasons they won't release them. So we want to discuss human rights in Nigeria, legality, the law, judiciary, and all that, and rights of citizens and the rest, and updates with the persons who are still being held at the SSS detention facility. Barrister Pelumi Olajengbesi, kindly just say hello to the viewers. People are waiting to hear this update from you.
All right, thank you very much. Viewers at home, good evening. It's nice to be here.
Great, you're welcome. So let us start with, you are a human rights lawyer of note. And then a lot of people know that, for you to have handled this particular matter, it must have been tough. Out of 12, you got 10 out from SSS, knowing that SSS will not obey court anyhow. It must have been a tough battle you waged. But then let us have the update. Why are two still being held? What's do you agree with whatever reason or excuse they gave to still be holding the ones that are still in custody?
Yeah, so the DSS have got no justification to still, detain the detainees till this time. This is simply because the court order is very clear. The court has actually granted them bail. And apart from that, there's a release warrant directly
Hmm.
issued to the DSS. So we expect ordinarily in a decent society that the DSS should have respected the court order and allowed these people, go freely. You see, in the eyes of the law, they are free citizens, but they are unlawfully being kept by the DSS. So right now, what the DSS is doing is actually very wrong, and we're doing all we can within the ambit of the law to challenge it and to ensure that we bring rule of law to bear. You see, frankly, this is not even about the people in detention alone. This is about the fact that we need to be able to analyze the extent at which government agencies have respect for the law, have respect for our constitution, and have got respect for the court system. In every democracy, where there are duties as to separation of power, each of the arms of government has responsibility to carry out to ensure that the society can grow and develop within the confines of the law. So if you have the judicial arm of government and a particular pronouncement has been made, and you have an agency of the executive arm of government which have refused to respect the law, it goes to show that the country is yet to develop to the level of a decent society where we can respect the law. And for me, under the principle of corporate governance, we think we should hold the head of the government responsible. We expect that if this administration should give proper direction as to respect for the rule of law, there's no reason why the DGDSS or the DSS will refuse to comply with a validly given court order.
Oh, I'm supposed to ask this one. Were you surprised that the SSS even flouted court order in the first place? I mean, you're a lawyer of note, and then you must have practiced for years, and you must have also related with cases similar to this before. Was it anything surprising to you that you obtained court order and SSS is flouting it? Were you surprised or were you not?
Well, I think it will be better to use the word concerned or worried. I'm worried because I believe that for every nation that is growing and developing, we every day develop more and learn to understand the dictates and the principle of democracy. Yes, you see, as human beings, we have the tendency to. Personally, I do not like people who misuse power. I have disdain for people in power who take advantage of power to oppress citizens. And so, personally, I thought that by now in 2021, that the Nigerian democratic system should have developed to the extent that we begin to have respect for our courts, we begin to have respect for the constitution. Take a look at it. A lot of these politicians who get to position of authority get there as a result of declaration from the court. So if we can respect the court decisions as to, I mean, political offices or political elections as it were, I think it is wrong for the DSS to flout or disregard a properly given court order, regardless of the excuses or the basis upon which their disregard their decision has been taken. So I am not just surprised. I am worried. Yes, in the past we've had similar experiences, particularly during even in the democratic era. It was a normal norm for the military to disregard any court order they are not comfortable with. But then this is democracy. I will believe that the country is growing. I will more consistently grow in that direction. So it's a great thing of concern for me. And but we are very sure that we may end up using the current DGDSS as a litmus test to show that there is law in Nigeria and that we must learn to respect the law. We've made up our mind, having consulted enough and having given them opportunity to redeem themselves of such illegality. We made up our mind to approach the court for contempt proceedings against the DGDSS, and I am very sure that be it in principle or in reality, the DGGSS may be a guest in Kuje prison in no distant time.
Okay. Let me. So, as the lawyer representing these persons, I was the counsel to them. When last were you allowed access? Because we learned that in most cases they don't even allow access by their counsels or people to even see them or talk to them or have words with them. But at least we are you being able to at least have access to know to check up on them and know their current condition or situation?
Yes, yes. Last week I was there. I was with Lady K and the other guy. I spent good time with them, and we had good discussion relating to their I mean, relating to their case. The DSS has actually filed uh, terrorism charges against them shamefully, and so we needed to discuss this with them. I met with Lady K. She's the only lady in the entire DSS facility, and she's constantly been mentally demoralized, and she's almost broken. This is simply because she has age ailing mother who is out there crying every day. She's the only surviving child of the family, and she's the breadwinner of plenty, so many people. But then she has been held down there by the DSS without showing any concern for her. So I was with her. We had this discussion. We tried to encourage her to let her understand that at the end of the tunnel there'll be light, and we are very certain about this.
Yes, before I even move on to my other question, somebody, Wale King on Facebook, is asking whether um, yeah, this time he's asking about the people who were also killed. These ones are still alive, but in detention or in custody. But the people who were allegedly killed or who were killed, as proven already, even confirmed by the SSS itself, that some were killed in the course of that operation that night. Have you been able to reach out to the family? What is the situation? What is the update as far recovering their body or retrieving
Yeah,
their
we
body?
are currently working on that, and I think we're making good progress. We're in touch with the families, and of course, I think ordinarily the DSS would have even released their corpse to us long ago, but because they are dead already, we want to ensure that there's justice in the real sense of it. So that is the situation. Murdered in Chief Sunday Igbo's house.
Sorry, we didn't hear the last part of that statement. I think
Yeah,
the
so
audio went
hopefully
off.
we
Yeah.
should be able to give something concrete and robust for the public relating to those who were killed. But we're working on it.
Okay, great. So next, let us talk about human rights generally, the SSS, all these agencies, and if you like the word impunity, I mean, because I'm surprised, I'm sure that you're also surprised. Some as well. You like us to use the word consent that court would give order, and then the SSS will be running almost a parallel court too, and saying no, that is not the one to obey. This is the one we want to choose. Let us go to human rights in Nigeria. From your years of practicing, uh, what would you say this one looks like to you? Because you must have been obtaining court order and effecting them easily. This one looks maybe to you also different, and you are shocked. Let's talk
Yeah, you
about
see,
human
the
rights in
the
Nigeria.
conversation about human rights in Nigeria is very clear and loud, and every new day it's getting more, more visibility and more audience. But the truth is that you see, the culture of respect for the human right is dependent on the nature and the psychology, or let me put it better, the character of the administration in town, because essentially respect for human rights boils down from the disposition of government to criticism, opposition, and of course, a respect for the sanctity of human rights as enshrined in our constitution. For me, I think if I want to scale this government hasn't done enough in that regard, and that is essentially the problem, because the government will give the direction that security agencies will follow, and that will determine how far and how well. But you look at the experience we have all over the country, and apart from the issue of disregard for court order, you talk about impunity, you talk about misuse of power, you talk about abuse of human rights, reckless use of power against citizens. I mean, we have plenty of them that we've experienced. And again, the problem essentially also is that this calls to the fact that our justice system needs to be addressed properly. Now, even if you have good laws and you have a functional court system that can ensure that those that are aggrieved or those whose right has been abused can seek redress or justice, then another thing you need to talk about is the capacity or the institutionalized way of enforcing court judgment. Well, let me give you, for example, if you commence an action against the Nigerian police or the DSS, and there's an award of 20 billion, 10 billion, 1 million naira against security agencies, how do you enforce such judgment? The point is, for example, if it is easy for us to enforce a 20 billion naira judgment against the DSS in their entire life will never disrespect any citizen again, will never take any action against the interest or the right of any citizen. But in a station whereby there are judgments against Nigerian police force, but you cannot enforce the judgment, it's difficult to enforce the judgment because the laws that provide for the enforcement of such judgment requires that you as individual, as a private citizen, you need to obtain the fiat of you need to obtain the consent of the AG Federation before you can proceed to do that. So it implies that even when you have judgment that's to be do with fundamental rights against government agencies, particularly the security agencies, you get this judgment, they survive more in document than in reality. And this is something very, very important. So it means that there's a need for us to enact laws that can allow that, okay, whenever the Nigerian police force or security agencies are abused, inflict on the rights of citizens should be able to approach the court, get judgment, and also enforce the judgment. It is very important. For example, if the Nigerian police force is spending half of its budget on payment for damages every year, then the police chief will understand that they've got to need money to do other things, and they try to avoid things that can lead to them spending a lot of money to compensate citizens. So that's another issue we need to look into. But then also, you see, all this boils down to the value system and the character of the society, and of course the government. You see, in law, we have different schools of thought, and it is opined that those who believe that law should reflect the quality and the value system of the society essentially believe that leaders must give direction, the type of character the citizens must develop. So when you have a Nigerian police force that cannot even protect citizens, rather inflict injury on citizens, it goes to show that that agency does not represent the people, does not have the proper orientation to understand the sole motive of setting up such an organization. And that is why it is convenient for a police officer to abuse a citizen's right and feel so comfortable about it. I believe in developed world, it is not like that, because police officers are glad about the job they are doing. They are very proud about the job they are doing, and they always want to be in that station where they are protecting citizens, they are showing love to citizens, and they are happy citizens are doing well. Unlike the kind of experience we have in Nigeria in 2021, we still have a DSS that will invade citizens' house and carry out such a reckless and the kind of activity that took place on the 1st of July in Chief Sunday Igboho's house. It's actually a sordid tale. And that is the kind of experience we have every day today all over the country.
Barrister, well done. I must commend you. But then there's this question. In fact, it is in two ways. Some are saying, "Oh, court has ordered that Oloye Sunday will be paid 20 billion." Others are saying, SSS is appealing it too. But whether it is official that it is being appealed or not, what is affecting that order? What is the update on that? Is the SSS at least respecting that?
Oh well, right. You know, the decision was made at the court of first instance, and it is within the right of the SSS to
To
appeal
also
such
appeal.
judgment. And of
Hmm.
course, we can take that to, to the Supreme Court. It is when we get to the Supreme Court that the final decision is made, and we know that is the final say. So we will have to wait till then to see what the DSS, what will be the basis of their appeal. But for me, I do think for us, we are glad about the judgment. This is simply because it is a signal to the entire world that
It's symbolic.
the organization called SSS or DSS is a reckless one that has no respect of no regard for democracy and democratic tenets and no regard for rule of law. And of course, it goes to show that the current administration also was successfully built for itself. A statute for illegality in the course of running their government. And some of these things we can't take it for granted because the entire world is watching, and the record and the profile will remain so.
Hmm. Barrister, let me take it to the profession now, the legal profession. If this happens over and again, like SSS keeps repeating the same thing, like they don't respect court order. We saw it in the case of Shore, we saw it in the case of Nnamdi Kanu, we saw it in the case of Oloye's Chief Sunday Igboho, we saw it in the several other cases, including the ones that didn't make it into media popularity like this. And uh, as lawyers, is there something the bar is doing to see that at least they address this situation, that nobody or agency should be above the court or the law? Are judges afraid of SSS? Why are judges still entertaining cases from the SSS, giving them ex parte orders to detain suspects? And whenever it is time, the court says, okay, you may now release them. It's difficult. Why are courts still entertaining SSS? And what is the bar doing to make sure that the law does not become ridiculous in the hand of agencies like this?
Yeah, so I will agree with you. I'm not the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. I'm just a member, but I will agree with you that there's a need for the association to step up its advocacy duty in ensuring that crucial stakeholders in the justice system are properly engaged to advance the cause of justice. I think, the current NBA leadership has got good disposition, but I think they are not doing enough. Personally, I wrote a letter to the office of the president, NBA president, and I didn't get any response till now on this particular very important subject matter. So I think the bar needs to carry out the bar has got committee working on that anyway, but we're not doing enough. Because a matter like this, that is this notorious, we have government agencies showing utter disregard to the court system, and yet the Barr is not saying anything about it. But then, you see, we must also appreciate the fact that in the pure theory of law, everything is governed by norms, and the law is derived from a particular law. So I think what the Bar is doing is that they expect those of us handling matters like that to follow the procedure of the law. For example, if the DGDSS has refused to respect court order, we have opportunity of approaching the court for contempt proceedings. So let it be that when the contempt proceeding is being exhausted, and yet we have a station whereby the DGDSS or a particular person, because the DGDSS or the entire agency has got no immunity against court system. DGDSS is not the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So for that reason, what we are going to do is to proceed with the content, and our single and most important prayer is that we want the court to commit the DGDSS to prison for utter disregard of court order and nothing more. And so we need this to be done. And when it is done in the country, it will go a long way to tell other agencies that you cannot trivialize court order. And that's my position. Well, talking about the issue of SSS approaching the Nigerian courts to get order to detain citizens. Then you see, the law actually allows them to do that, and so at most times they rush to magistrate courts where they can quickly run up this process and get what they want. But then, even when you have that court order, the court order can also be challenged in court. So it is not something superficial, because in the real sense of it, if we're to be in a decent society, when the DSS claimed that they've arrested a terrorist, I mean, Nigerians ordinarily would have been happy that we have an organization that is working. But if you're introducing people like Lady K, who is just a journalist or a blogger, who is just into, social crusade and advocacy, you're saying to the world that she's a terrorist. I mean, it goes to show that the reason why the agency was actually established in the real sense of it has been forfeited, because the money and the funding going into SSS is for the purpose of carrying out very, very important responsibility. So it's just like the Nigerian army arresting a journalist, calling the journalist terrorist, when you have Boko Haram members tormenting and fomenting trouble all over the country. So these are serious issues that should concern everyone.
I have many questions, Barrister, but I will limit it because I know I stole part of your busy schedule and busy time to bring you on the show. What exactly are they saying the decade did, aside from just live streaming or being a journalist or reporting
What are
from
the what?
What exactly did they say Lady K did, or did they say Lady K has committed to have warranted that they won't even release
In
her?
fact, if you read the charge sheet, you'll be disappointed even as a journalist, because though they were charged under the Anti-Terrorism Protection Act, but then if you look at the substance of the charges, it is very, very ridiculous. It has got nothing to do with terrorism, and it just shows that government is frustrated and angry about people who are opposing their policies and their position, and they are just trying to silence people. And I do not think that this administration should be interested more in enforcing acceptability. I think this government can actually get the acceptance of people if they engage people more properly and get opportunity for deliberative assembly where people can have a sense of belonging in the Nigerian project. But if you continue to enforce, or if you think that you can push people to respect you, to obey whatever you're doing, it will not work. The charge sheet is a nonsense and does not mean anything to us. But then our concern is that government is interested in keeping these people out of public domain, so that they can't do what they are supposed to do in order to reduce or to suppress them. And they are achieving this, unfortunately, because some people who are not strong or bold enough can now come out to continue to sustain the campaign. And so this government needs to understand that there's a in order for us to, for example, if you look at why there's agitation all over the country, why the country is so divided, is because government has failed to engage people properly. Government has also failed to ensure that there's this interaction platform where people can actually express their grievances, and their grievances will be taken into action or into the. For example, if you look at the life and the struggle of Chief Sunday Adeyemo, aka Igboho, this campaign actually started when he was actually raising issues as it relates to killings by alleged Fulani herdsmen. But then government never did anything about it, and this campaign continued until he started demanding that then if government cannot protect the Yoruba people, he actually need Yoruba nation. And so, and I do not think there's anything wrong about that. So government need to calm down and understand that this government is about the people. You cannot derive legitimacy from yourself or by enforcing it on the people. Sovereignty is actually for the people. You can only derive legitimacy and support and acceptability when you engage people, and when you allow people to express their views, and when you engage them in a level, or in a level whereby people will understand that this country actually belongs to them.
Barrister, I've engaged with at least 5 to 6 lawyers who are handling cases involving the SSS, and they all have almost the same response as you, that the SSS is actually very lawless. And some of them told me that it looks like judges are afraid of SSS. Whatever the reason, maybe there was an antecedent building up to that. I do not know. But you from your response tonight, you are thinking or contemplating instituting, or maybe you have already finalized steps to institute a contempt suit against DGSSS. What is your confidence level that judges will be willing to even issue or give you
Oh, our
your
confidence level is the
prayer?
fact that our confidence level is just about the fact that the laws are very, very clear, and we are just going to deal with the law. I know it's just going to be directly what the law says, and so that's the source of our strength, and we're ready to face it. We've done all we need to do to ensure that we gain some level of cooperation and understanding of the lawless organization refers to as SSS, but then they refuse to cooperate with us, and so we have no option than to move on. And also, I need to just say this: this is my own opinion. I do not believe that. I think we have a lot of courageous judges who are ready to do justice in the country. I do not believe that our justices are scared of the SSS. No, because if that is the reality, then the court is of no need anyway. But I believe that circumstances, because you must also understand that the court, the legislative arm, the executive, all forms part of the government, and we also need to think about the aspect of public policy. So justices must not be there to amplify the crisis. They must be there to ensure that crises are addressed. So oftentimes they try to ensure that things like this are managed and balanced properly. But then if you approach the court and it is evidently clear that a particular agency of the government is in has actually shown utter disregard to rule of law and to court order, the court will be left with no other option than to act in the interest of justice. And that is what we hope to do. And we're starting God's grace tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning sounds so cool, and we will definitely follow up with that because it's interesting to learn that at least there will be a content proceeding. Uh, Let me ask the last question for tonight because I have to let you go. You have a lot of things to do, and I can see people beckoning on you from the back there. Yes, but let me ask the last one. But I'm going to consolidate like two, three questions into one. Just please assist us to answer there. The first three, like into one. Lady K, what is your? I mean, can you just assure the public? Is she coming out any soon? And how soon can you like give us, just suggest to us? And then that's one. Then two, uh Chief Sunday Igboho himself still in away in Benin Republic. People thought, well, Benin Republic would be safer for him, but it looks like they are still not releasing him to even proceed on his journey to Germany. And the court pronouncement you had, give awarding about 20 billion naira to him, was would you think that is a bait to see if he will want to follow that, to say, oh, I'm winning in Nigeria, so let me go extradite me to Nigeria, let me go and continue there, so that they can now hold him till the end of Buhari's administration and the rest of it. People are asking questions. Barrister, if you
Yes,
want to
talking
conclude this
about
one.
Lady K, we have faith in God and the law that Lady K will be out very soon. We're doing our best within the precinct of the law to ensure that she's released. But then we can only appeal to you, the media, to help us galvanize this issue so that the DSS will understand that there's a need for us to have this lady back to reunite with our family. Then talking about Chief Sunday Igboho, I want you to know that Chief Sunday Igboho is very fine. He's in high spirit, and he's coming back to the country very, very soon. As a matter of fact, if you have someone in Ibadan, your state, you understand that there are high level of preparation for his coming back, and so we're doing all we need to do. The Nigerian government has not been able to do anything concrete or meaningful in Benin Republic. I can assure you that the last time they were there, they were stranded and they have to just return back because the country has got its own legal system and it's not a system you can actually hijack. So we are working within that level and we are very positive that Chief Sunday Igboho will be back to the country. And another thing again is that Chief Sunday Igboho is not fighting anyone. He's
Yeah.
right from time. His message has been very, very clear. What he's interested in is justice for all. So Chief Sunday Igboho is coming back to the country to live as a citizen who is happy, and he will continue to contribute his quota towards development, and his prayers and his demands will still remain because there's a need for us to fix this country. There's a need for us to ensure that there is peace and harmony and there's security, there's safety for people. So, and he's not going to drop his agenda or he's not going to drop his campaigns. He will continue to do that. So please expect Chief Sunday Igboho anytime from now. And talking about okay, I'm looking at someone's question. One at
Yeah, I know. I don't want to ask any further question, but I deliberately just press it so that the person doesn't accuse me of not asking this question. So, what is asking about civil disobedience by lawyers? Is asking lawyers from certain extract or region of the country, but I don't think we need to regionalize anything. Disrespect for law is disrespect
Kunle.
for law. Oh wow, barista is okay. Welcome back,
So
barista.
yeah,
Yeah.
talking about our 20 billion, we will ensure that we get that money from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, from the government's cover. Yes. This is simply because, these are our concern is that Buhari should not use this money, should not borrow the money or use this money for another thing. Because that money is important to remedy a lot of things the government has destroyed,
Hmm.
and that's that for that. So you were saying something about civil disobedience and what?
Yes, somebody was asking why can't lawyers, from particularly of the Middle Belt extracts and the South, just do some kind of civil disobedience because of the flagrant disregard for law by the SSS. I mean, like maybe some kind of boycott the courts
And
whenever
you see,
SSS is involved.
the because if you talk about democracy and you are agitating that you want a decent society, you must also understand that this must come with respect and regard for other people's opinion too, um, which implies that we have lawyers who are not inclined to the left. We have lawyers whose schools of thought has got nothing to do with what we're doing. And so in every society, you have those who are inclined towards the human rights far to the left. You have those who are inclined towards and who are conservative about issues. And we like because there are a lot of concept or opinion about all these things. So we are not going to push anyone to do whatever they think they don't want to do. to do. But then you see, as the people, a time is coming that we all will be frustrated at the same time, and our story will all look alike, and then we'll be left with no other option than to save ourselves. Perhaps we're not there yet. Recently, the Nigerian people saw the NSAS revolution, and it was very, very massive. But then probably we'll have something bigger soon. I can't say that now until we all begin to share similar experiences,
People
similar
are disturbing, yeah. People are disturbing Barista's phone. I can see that. No, Allah. You will definitely come back.
stories, and so it happened to go. And
People
so,
are,
so for now,
people are disturbing
my
your line,
own
I can
message,
see.
yes, my message to the world is that, or to Nigerians particularly, is that we all need to be vigilant, because even if you're in government today, tomorrow the table can change, and
Just
you
turn,
can
yeah.
find yourself as the victim. Recently, Chief Shagun Olusegun Obasanjo is now also an activist who has been protesting against this government and complaining about a lot of things he believes they're not being done well. But then he
You
had the
mean you
opportunity to fix the
you
country
mean
in his
you
time.
mean you mean to say that a former president became a whaler?
And now
Just
it's now
to
a comrade. So, so, so that's the kind of situation we are right now. So anyone can find himself in that station, but then a time is coming that a larger percent of the people will be frustrated, and they will be left with no option than to liberate themselves. And so I am not the one calling for that liberation. I don't know how it's going to look like. I don't want anyone to come and disturb my business tomorrow that I'm calling for revolution. Yeah. So I am saying that at that point in time, when nobody is no longer safe, when you can't even protect your investment, when you discover that, I mean, the business of government, I mean, it's just fraud, then we all will have to come together, speak in the same language. At that time, we share a common consanguinity, and we want a country of our own, and we want liberation in the real sense of it. So I hope it won't come in 2023 if we don't have a decent election. But then let us just be expectant and show respect to those who believe, who are conservative, who think that our own approach should not be the general approach.
Barrister, I must thank you at this point for taking time out. I know how much I've been looking for this opportunity to let people know the updates about Lady K and the other Olakunle in still in detention and all that. We'll definitely take this conversation further subsequently. Tomorrow
Yes,
we are hoping to
gladly.
report the contempt proceeding you are instituting against uh, the DGSSS, who everybody agreed by now, or majority of people agree by now, is lawless, and we'll continue to take it from there. We'll still have another opportunity to continue or to advance this conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Barrister. I appreciate you, and
Thank
do
you.
have a wonderful one
Mr.
tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye now.